Great. So thank you so much for everyone who's come to join us for our Inspire event and to learn a little bit more about what we're putting on for 2024. Uh, Firstly, introduction. So I am Mel Vaughan. I'm the Region International Advisor, and we also have Carly Davies, who's also my Region International Advisor Assistant. She's also on the call. And we also have Ellie Parnell, who is one of our Inspire trip leads. Sadly, we also have Kezia, who's not able to make it today, but you will get to meet her too. We do have a picture of her as well, a beautiful picture of her, so we can see that later. I'll do some introductions. Here we are. Yeah, lovely. So today what we're going to do is we're going to give a little bit more information about the Inspire trip. And it's an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you may have. Don't worry if there are questions that you go away and you think about later on. Feel free to email myself at the international team inbox, which we'll share at the end, or directly to our Inspire email as well. We will take questions at the end. If you want to, you can unmute and ask them directly, or if you want to, you can just pop them in the chat and Louisa will read them out. If there is anything, well, I'll certainly do my best between Ellie and I will certainly do our best to answer your questions on the call right now. But if there aren't any that we can answer or we need to get more information, we'll go away and we'll come back to you. Okay. So I'm going to take the opportunity to hand over to Ellie.
All right, thank you, Mel. So basically, I'm just going to walk you through what the trip will involve, like how long it'll be, what we'll do, and what we might do. So as Mel said, there's me and Kezia planning the trip and hopefully taking some of you with us. The trip will be in September 2024. We picked this time just because it's that little bit cheaper than going during the summer holidays and stuff like that. I appreciate some people, including myself, will be back at university and stuff, so it can be a bit tricky, but we'll make it work. We've decided it'll be the 5 nights because we were originally debating between 4 and 5, so 5. The cost is down as £1,350, which will include everything, including a contingency, and we're hoping some of the optional activities will get slightly funded by what's left of that once we've confirmed like flight prices and accommodation prices, because there are big variables. So what's included is the flights, the accommodation. We'll get a travel card for in New York, so like the subway and all that. We will also be seeing a Broadway show and going for a group meal with all of us. We will be visiting Ground Zero, and we'll also get a badge and a hoodie, which is very exciting. What's not included is the travel in the UK, so getting to the airport, that's not included. Travel insurance also isn't, because a lot of people might have it with their banks or whatever. But then there's also the optional activities not included, the food and drink other than the group meal, and tipping, which I imagine is a lot. I've not been to America before. But there are a lot of optional activities we can do as well. So we've got all sort of like your main buildings like the Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty, and the Rockefeller Center. There's also hop-on, hop-off bus tours, and then things like the Museum of National History, Broadway theatre tours, street food tours, New York Aquarium, and the Central Park Zoo. And I'm sure there's many more stuff that you can do in free time as well. Also in free time, there'll be stuff like the Times Square, Central Park, Brooklyn Bridge, Coney Island, and loads more. I'm sure we'll have loads of stuff that we want to do that we don't have time. For the payment plan, the initial deposit will be due by the end of November if you get offered a place. And then there are 2 options. You can either do it in 3 £400 instalments in February, May, and August, or 8 £150 instalments in the first 8 months of the year, January to August. That's pretty much as far as we've got so far. So have anyone got any questions?
There's a question from Lauren in the chat. Do you have any idea on specific dates?
Not yet. It will depend on flights mainly, like when they're cheapest. We're aiming towards the end of the month, I think, but nothing exact yet. Any others?
When will
will
dates be confirmed?
dates be confirmed?
It's a good question. I'm not 100% sure. It'll be when we start booking flights, I guess. Which could be anytime really. About, I don't know. What do you think, Mel? Like probably
So
early in the year.
yeah, so I think I totally take the question, Jessica. I think with naturally you don't want to have to put yourself forward and put a non-refundable deposit down for a date you're not going to be able to make. So we'll work with Ellie and Kezia to agree what those dates will be and communicate those out before the first one's taken. So obviously we need to go through the way in which you'll all be selected. Obviously, we call it a book and go because there's no sort of application process. You don't get sifted out. But it is completely randomized. We do it through a random generator wheel, and then we let you know that you've been successful in securing a place. And at that point, we should be able to provide a better idea of dates because naturally they'll have to have flexibility of a day or two based on whether or not there are flights on that day, and or if it's significantly cheaper, 100, 200 pound cheaper to go the day before, it makes more financial sense to go the day before than after. So there'll be a degree of flexibility, but we could probably nail it down to a specific
Down
week.
to a week or so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it'll be before the 30th of November because that's when the non-refundable deposit is due.
We had a question before the call as well, which was if someone could check whether their application had been received, and I don't actually know who's sent them in yet. So
I
probably pass that
can
on to you
check
after now.
if your application has been sent in. If you tell me which name it is, I'll be able to check we've got it through Google Forms.
Double check 1 second.
I'd just email that Ellie
Yeah.
directly
Okay.
to Louise
That's
then.
fine.
Doesn't have to be now, but I can check it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks, Kelly. That's a really good tip. And exactly that. We don't want to say that we're going to go Wednesday through, to Monday. We don't want to give specific dates. It can be cheaper on random days at different times. So exactly that. I think I just also want to take the opportunity as well to just talk about our Inspire trip that we had this year and some of the things that were really some great positives and some successes from that, which is a lot of the people who went on that trip didn't know each other, and they went into it a little nervous. Some of them, put themselves forward as friends, and then they were selected, and some of their friends weren't, which is always a natural thing to think about. You want to go away with your friends. But they ended up becoming really great guiding friends and undertook some really amazing activities across Italy and Sorrento in Rome. And that's kind of what Inspire is about. It's about bringing people from that age group and that cohort of 18 to 30 together and going away as like-minded people who enjoy girl guiding. And branching out and going across the Northwest as well and mingling with people that you may not necessarily mingle with because they're not in your county or your district or your division. So, yeah. What type of accommodation is it? At the minute, we're looking at trying to keep the costs obviously as low as possible. So we will have probably either hostel type rooms or apartments where we'll all stay together. They will be obviously where we can have our own private bathrooms because I think that's preferred. But Ellie will confirm that obviously as we go along. And one of the other things as well is you'll have heavy involvement with working as a group, talking about the activities you want to do and kind of building that agenda out with Ellie and Kezia because this is ultimately your trip too. And thanks, Charlotte. I hadn't quite realised you went on to the Inspire trip. Oh, that's amazing. I'm really glad you had a good time. So much so that you're considering going on to this one as well.
Yeah, I am. I would. I'd like to.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Are there any other questions? No? Short and sweet, I think. Can you give us an idea of how likely we are to get accepted? Has there been a lot of people apply?
I think we're on 36.
Yep, we're on 36. So the way in which it works is that it's exactly like our Peru trip, where for every person that applies from a county, so every county will have one person representing them, and providing someone from that county applies. And then from there, it will be volume based. So if we say one county has, I don't know, 30 people apply, they'll have obviously a significant proportion of those places to make it fair. But a minimum of one person per county will be going. No, no in-tops type thing at all. That is one of the beauties of this. There's no selection process. It is literally your names will go into a random wheel generator based on your counties. So like I said, if there's 6 people from one county, all those 6 people will go in and they have, let's say they have 2 spaces available for that county, it will wheel round and those 2 names will be randomly picked and we will contact you proactively. We'll either call you or we'll drop you an email if we can't get through to you to see if you want to accept that place. Just going to see if there's any more questions. No. Oh, you're very welcome, Jessica. Okay, well, I think maybe we can call it, Ellie. If there are any other questions, as I said earlier, feel free to email them to either our international email, which is internationalteam@girlguidingnwe.org.uk, the world's longest email address. Or you can, and we could, or if you've got something specific you want to ask Ellie and Kezia, we can forward that on to Ellie and Kezia. I think that's it. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and I hope you have a